Gahee's 30 years old. And you love that one, don't
Yeah, I sure do.
And no Sean Marino is coming off of a knee injury. So, I just think Martin's a physical guy that can, really help their running game. And, he can also catch passes from Peyton Manning. And, probably more important, he can stay on the field on third down and protect Peyton Manning. So I just think and he's also a good special teams player. So I think that's a good value pick for Denver.
Kind of, fits along with, Peyton Manning being the quarterback over there. It's kind of a good Peyton Manning pick. I had them going with Jarrell Worthy, the defensive tackle from Michigan State. I just thought that they could make that defense even better and kind of help out. But I really don't know what they would do now that now that Peyton's over there. It kind of changes their whole, philosophy as a franchise.
Yeah, it does. There's a big change in it, and I can see Worthy as a guy that can help the inside of their defense. I think that's a good pick there also.
Okay, over in no, we just did Denver. Houston.
Right, my team. My first two mock drafts, I had Stephen Hill there, and if he can make it to 26, I would just absolutely love that pick. But I thought on this one I'd give a little bit different perspective, so I went ahead and went with Peter Kahns, the center from Wisconsin. And Kahns is a little bit small for an offensive lineman, but he's very athletic, so I think he could either play center or guard. And the Texans lost Mike Brazil to the Raiders in free agency, so I think Kahns could just come in, compete for the right guard position with Antoine Caldwell, who's been hurt quite a bit. And, if he doesn't end up starting there, then I think he's a good solid backup at any of the three interior line positions. So who do you have?
I have Houston going with Stephen Hill, so kind of fits along with that. I also think that they probably couldn't believe that Courtney Upshaw on my mock, if things went the way mine is, that Courtney Upshaw was available. Do you think they would go that way, considering all the draft picks they put into that here lately?
They could go that way. I mean, especially after losing Mario Williams.
Mm-hmm.
There's no telling. But I've also seen the Baylor receiver coming in there quite a bit too. But I think Stephen Hill is he's a big guy, which Kubiak loves,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also coming out of an option offense, so he's got to know how to block, right?
Well, they've also they lost Eric Winston in the offseason,
Right.
kind of a cap casualty.
Right.
And they lost D'Amico Ryans, so they have a little bit of options here.
Yeah, they could go receiver, they could go tight end, they could go offensive line, they could go inside or outside linebacker. So they've got several options here.
And so they really need to have a good pick here to
Yeah.
kind of salvage this offseason's kind of getting away from them a little bit. New England, I had them go in with Courtney Upshaw to get that edge pressure that they've been needing to get here for a few years. So
They've needed that, haven't they?
maybe this will be of course, Courtney Upshaw, the linebacker from Alabama. Maybe this will be the draft pick that they address it, if they even draft here.
Yeah. What are the Vegas odds on them keeping both picks in the first round?
Well, I'll tell you what. If they can find a way to screw over Oakland, they'll they'll do it.
Yeah. That was cold.
Yeah, probably upsetting some people right now. Who did you have?
I've got Kendall Reyes going here. I do believe an outside pass rusher would be good for him, but I think they could also use some help on the defensive line. So I've got Kendall Reyes, who played defensive tackle at UConn, but I think he's got the body frame to be able to play end in the 4-3. And, he could also slide inside and give them some good pass rush, up the middle on third down. So I think that's the kind of guy that Bill Belichick likes to have.
All right. Moving right along, Green Bay. Who'd you have them taking?
I have them getting an outside pass rusher. I've got them going Andre Branch, the outside linebacker from Clemson. I think he can convert from defensive end to outside linebacker and play in the Packers 3-4. I think he's athletic, and I think they team him with Clay Matthews, and they've got a good 1-2 punch rushing the passer there.
If he wasn't going to, I had him going to Pittsburgh a little bit earlier. If Pittsburgh went Hightower, this is a really good spot for him.
Yeah, I think it is.
I had them going with Shea McClellan, Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I always say his name wrong. Out of Boise, the linebacker. I think he's can bring some pressure also on the other side of Clay Matthews. Last year, and I probably saw all of them, but did you know Clay Matthews only had 6 sacks last year?
And you saw all 6.
I must have seen all 6 because it seemed like he was always bringing it.
They weren't all against Dallas, were they?
No, not that year. Yeah.
McClellan, I think, is a really versatile guy. These teams love guys that can play all around, and I think McClellan is a guy that's like that. I think they even had him playing nickelback sometimes. The guy's like 250, 260, and he's playing nickelback.
Wow.
So I don't think he's a guy that's going to come off the field on third down, and that's the kind of guy you want to have out there.
Definite playmaker. Next is Baltimore. Who'd you have?
Baltimore, I've got Cordy Glenn, the guard from Georgia, or actually you can say guard tackle because he's actually played both. But the way I saw it here is that the Ravens are losing Ben Grubbs, or have lost him to free agency. And I think Glenn could step in right there and play guard for him and could do a good job blocking and paving the way for Ray Rice. Who do you have?
I have him going with I have him staying on the offensive line and going with Peter Kahns, the center out of Wisconsin. I think that Baltimore really loves to run the ball, and Wisconsin's a running program, so I think that's kind of a good match right there. And of course, how old's Matt Burke these days?
I think he just got his AARP card.
So that would, I think he could start right away. He's a plug-and-play player, and that would help him out a lot.
I think that's a good pick for him there. Like I said, I think he can play guard. And I just heard on Sirius Radio today they did an interview with him, and they mentioned Baltimore. So I think that's a pretty good spot to have him there.
Next pick would be San Francisco. Who do you have?
For the 49ers, I've got Kendall Wright falling all the way down here to 30. And if he does that, I think Alex Smith is just going to have a huge grin on his face because, the NFC Championship game, I don't think they completed a pass the whole day to a wide receiver. So, getting somebody like Wright that can catch little, small passes and screens and that kind of stuff, once you get the ball in his hands, he makes people miss. And I think he's going to be a different dimension to the 49ers offense.
They did sign Randy Moss in the offseason, so it seems like they definitely want to go vertical a little bit more this next year. So that would be a good pick. I actually had them getting a Kendall somebody, but I went with Kendall Reyes, the defensive end out of UConn, defensive tackle out of UConn. Yeah. And I just think he's a kind of a Jim Harbaugh type of player. You had him go into New England, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like the same type of coach.
Yeah. I think he's a guy that either one of those two guys would love to have.
So it seems like he's just a good guy.
Yeah.
What about New England's second pick? If they
decide to keep it, right. I've got them going with Janoris Jenkins, cornerback from North Alabama. The guy's had some problems at Florida and at North Alabama both, but I think the Patriots locker room is a good locker room, and if there's anywhere for someone like that to go that can get guys to mentor him and help him to learn how to be a pro, I think that'd be a good spot for him. And he's got a lot of ability, so I think that'd be a good pick there.
This is probably a good time to say, a lot of these players might get picked here by other teams. That might be a player that some team is trying to trade back in to come get at the end of the round.
Yeah, or they may be trying to get a quarterback here.
Yeah.
Somebody may be wanting to come up and get Wheaton there.
Especially with, San Francisco, New England. They don't have a whole lot of holes. They don't.
Right.
They can just go with the
best player available.
Yeah.
You hear it all the time, but those guys can actually do that.
When you reach for a player at a different position, that's usually where you mess up.
Right.
Anyway, I had them going with Harrison Smith, the free safety from Notre Dame. I think he's probably the best cover safety in the draft, or at least can come in right away and help out with all these teams that there are all these extra tight ends and wide receivers. I just think you can't have enough guys that can cover.
Yeah, and like we said before, these teams love guys that can be versatile, and that's exactly what Smith can do. And I think Belichick would love a guy like that too.
And I think if Drake Kirkpatrick were to fall this far, I just have a hard time thinking that Belichick wouldn't get him and try to maybe move him to safety or do something with the way this league
Yeah,
is
I
going.
can see that happening too if he fell that far.
And the next pick is the last pick.
Right.
I can't believe we're through this already.
The New York Football Giants. In my first two mocks, I had them going with Kobe Fleener because they just need a tight end. But I thought I'd go a little bit off the board here, and I had them going David Wilson, the running back from Virginia Tech, and it's mainly because they lost Brandon Jacobs, and I just think Wilson could be a good replacement. He runs powerful between the tackles, and he bounces it well outside. He bounces it a little bit too much at times, and at times has been known to put the ball on the ground. But they coached Tiki Barber out of that, so I think they might be comfortable with that.
I also had them going running back. I was kind of swapping back and forth between Kobe Fleener and Doug Martin, and I just now scratched off Kobe Fleener. And
you're audibling on me.
Yeah, I know. So I
gotta quit looking at your sheet.
Yeah, it's going to throw everybody off. So I went with Doug Martin, the running back out of Boise State, and I think that would be a good replacement. And the Giants are also in a spot where they can just take whoever falls, to them. They have a really solid all around team. I think Fleener makes a lot of sense there, but I think Doug Martin's just a guy that's he's also rising at the right time, and that would be a good pick for him.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good fit in the Giants offense. He kind of seems like a Giants player, doesn't he?
Yeah. So these mock drafts are going to go just like this with the real draft this Thursday.
They're using our script. We're sending them to all 32 teams, and they said, okay, this is what Dwayne and Teddy said to do. This is what we're going to do.
So we're the GMs for 32 teams now. But like we're joking about there's going to be probably 3-4 trades.
Probably at least. Especially once you start getting down to New England.
And it's really not going to take just one thing going off the script to really change how the whole thing goes. That's why doing mock drafts is so much fun.
And who knows? Does Miami trade all the way up from 8 to 3?
Mm-hmm.
They may be worried that the Browns are going to get Tannehill. So they may jump up there and try to get him.
Yeah, so it'll be a fun time for sure this Thursday, and we hope that this helps you get ready for the draft. And you can once again look at us at www.draftmaniacs.com. Also follow us on Twitter at draftmaniacs, and of course like us on Facebook. And anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. I hope y'all enjoy the draft as much as we do, and we'll be talking to you probably after the draft, probably analyzing how everybody did, giving our thoughts on that too.
So anyway, if you're listening, thank you for trying us out, and hopefully you can tell your friends, and we'll see you on some future podcasts.
Thank you.